Okay, then the monthly report.
Everything looked good, looked busy.
Yeah,
Everything, okay.
it's good.
Okay, the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having us this morning. Our Development Director, Dawn, is handing out our quarterly updates and yearly stats for 2022. I'll like to start with, my name is Lila Mumgard. I'm the Executive Director with the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center, and we are very thankful for your support and your continued support. As you can see, these are our stats for the year of 2022 in Ellis County, and then the quarterly stats for from October through December of 2022. There down at the bottom, total number of children served throughout that quarter, October through December, was 110, and for the year in Ellis County, it was 290. Total number of services provided for the quarter of October through December was 327, and total for the year was about 1,041. And so, as you all know, we provide services to children who have been abused. We have a pretty big job, and so that means that we get to help them heal from the trauma of abuse. And so in Ellis County, we have a building here in Hayes, and we have the forensic interviewing, the advocacy, mental health therapy, and we attend court. We go to medical exams at Hayes Med, and we also have our youth mentor who provides that one-on-one advocacy as well. And so I think these numbers speak to the children that we've been able to serve and have had the honor to meet and work with and help them heal through the trauma that they may have experienced. And like I said, we appreciate the support that you guys have given us to be able to get that opportunity to serve the children.
Question for you.
Yeah.
It showed the last quarter, October through December, of 110 children served. That's roughly 40% of the total numbers. Is that a statistic that's going to keep the trend line? Is that going to continue through? Do you see it continuing at that rate?
You know, we were talking about that there is that difference, and we wondered if during that time, if we had maybe a big case that we were providing advocacy for, and thinking back, there was a specific case that we were providing advocacy for. As you can tell, we attended court that one time as well, but it is something that we see regularly and consistently throughout our 34 counties as well, that difference between, say, summer and winter, or whenever they're not at school compared to whenever they are at school.
Okay. You think the reporting is just increased during school time?
For sure. That is where the children are. They're around the mandated reporters, those who are mandated to report through the state of Kansas. And so we do see that difference, and where reports more often come than not is whenever they are at school. We saw that during COVID as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Michael?
No, thank you for the update. It's with these organizations, you wish you could do everything to not have them, but
Right.
we're certainly thankful that you are and provide the services you do. So thank you for the update.
Thank you. Yes, no problem. And we certainly cannot do it without you and the support. And so thanks for being part of our village.
I do also thank you for what you guys do. Are you fully staffed?
We are.
Good.
Yes. Actually, we do have an open mental health intern therapist position, if you know of anybody, that covers the northwest counties, part of our medical program. So intern in their master's program. So if you know of anybody, send them our way.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ellis County Historical Society update.
She went fast.
Morning, Amanda.
Morning. All right. I've got talk fast at the top of mine. I don't want to take up your time. Good morning. Amanda Rupp with the Ellis County Historical Society. Had to look at my tag. I just am, Brad, you're not going to stand up here with me. Okay. All right. It's nice seeing new faces. I just wanted to share with you our every other month we're up here talking, but we have a lot to share with you today. If you haven't been reading any of the news or follow us on our website, we did have our annual meeting of members in January, at the end of January, and we got to hold that in our newly remodeled space down in our basement, which is multifunctional, large enough to hold a large group, but also serves as our offices and archives. So our phase 1 is officially done, and we are back in that building, and it feels great. At that meeting, I believe you guys got a copy of this. We just handed out our annual report, which talks mainly about the accomplishments that we've done in the past year to 2 years, and once I was compiling them, they're pretty impressive, I'll say so. And it also breaks down a little bit more friendly to the reader some of our strategic plan into 5 different aspects of that. I will send on closer to a budget time. Our actual plan, it's a little bit more boring to read. So we also got to unveil the phase 2 of our project to save that building, and utilize it, which is probably the biggest chunk of our three phases, because it deals with our infrastructure. We're going to add a south entrance, ADA entrance to the lower level there on the south side of the building. We're going to replace the existing bathroom with an ADA compatible family bathroom, size bathroom, and add a curator lab to clean and assess artifacts on the south end of that lower level. Then the big chunk of phase 2 project is the brick restoration, which we already have scheduled for spring and summer. And then the big ticket item is a $600,000 completely new HVAC system, which, to put that in perspective, I think I've looked back in the past 6 to 10 years, and they've been putting in about $8,000 to $10,000 just on maintenance a year for that system, or those multi-systems. So it's definitely needed. It brings our price tag for phase 2 of the project to about $850,000. But excitingly enough, we were able to reveal that we have some seed money for that. Our board, who has been working hard this year, is not only supporting it 100% and giving of their time and talent, but they have also made a donation over $31,000 to start that fundraising for us. And just about 2 weeks ago, I jumped out of my couch when I realized that we secured a award from the Kansas State Historical Society for the Heritage Trust Fund grant that will completely pay for our brick and limestone restoration project, which is about $85,000. So we were really excited about that. So we're off to a good start for our phase 2 project. At that meeting, we also voted on officers and trustees, and I'm very happy. I love our board. They work hard. I can't say enough about them, that we retained all of our board members, minus one who is, Judy Winchester has put in 10 years and her terms have expired. And so we thank her for her service. But luckily, Brad Rickey, who is anticipating an upcoming retirement from the county, stepped in that position as trustee instead of county liaison. So we've got our great crew back, so I'm very excited about that. Also at that meeting, I got to announce that we have some other seed money for our other project, which was mainly, first off, storage, and second off was focused on Victoria project. One of the original founders of the Historical Society has showed his confidence in us once again. Mr. Don Bickle has given us $50,000 towards the storage, attaining storage for our artifacts, and which we primarily at this point are looking towards Victoria still. So that felt really wonderful. Am I talking fast enough for you? Then the other reason that I'm here today is I think we've been scrambling to put together something that we found out. They released this grant opportunity January 30th, and like the first week of February, we found out about it and went into overdrive. So our project, our planning for Victoria has been steadily keeping pace as fast as we could with the limited funds we had. Everything was pretty much in place for a lease to be signed, just looking at our insurance options for a building that's been unoccupied for quite some time. But it pushed us abruptly into fast pace because the state has allotted $30 million in tourism grants for this one-time grant they're calling the Sprint Grant. And the minimum ask is $500,000, no match needed. Maximum is $10 million, and we have very quickly put together the rest of our estimates, and our total will at least be over $750,000, and would most likely pay for the entire construction part on our part of the St. John's building. And so that's what I've come here to ask you for, hopefully for your support in applying for this grant. And I think Darren maybe forwarded some of the information on about that grant. I've covered a little bit of it. You know, they give priority to new tourism, something that can be completed within 24 months, and that you know, it brings new tourism, has sustainability outside of just a 5-year onset. And so I think with the Historical Society's been here for 50 years, we're going to be here as long as we've got the county support and the community support. I think a sister site in Victoria really serves the county well as a destination spot, and serves our two birds with one stone, because then we can focus our smaller facility here in Hayes on Hayes history and Wild West history, which is very much a major theme in our county, very much a tourist destination or outlook, what they're looking for. And so is the Volga German community and the immigrants that settled here, still contributing to this county. So I think it's important to showcase both. And with this opportunity, we can do that very well. So I'm excited to get this grant in by next Monday. Do you guys have any questions for me?
No questions. I enjoy the enthusiasm and appreciate the hard work you put in over the past year and a half. Look forward to signing it and seeing what you can do with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. You know, they say when your hands itch, you're thinking about money. So
Yes.
yesterday I happened to be looking at state grants just for other reasons, and I came across that grant, and I thought, you know, who would that benefit around here? And that happened to be just shortly before Darren calls me about today's agenda, and just kind of going over it, they said, well, Ellis County's going to be asking for support on this grant. I thought, well, that's a serendipitous moment, because I was just looking at that, trying to think about who would be a benefactor of that. So I'm very supportive of it, and we'll sign it and wish you the best of luck for that grant.
We were excited. I think everybody in our industry is excited throughout the state, because it's a lot of money, and the no match is a big deal. But we are also I have been involved in some of the planning for some of the other things that were going to happen in Hayes, or trying to happen in Hayes with other things, and they were going to apply for the same grant, but have stepped aside a little bit because their plans aren't solidified enough as ours are. So it was a little bit of an exciting moment that we don't have to compete against somebody else in our own area in that aspect. So, but
Yeah, you guys have put a lot of hard work, and I'd like to thank Brad for stepping up and keeping this all going. So
there's been a lot of hard work, and I'd like to thank the county and the city, because I forgot to mention in my notes as I was hastily going over them, but we did approve our annual budget for 2023 with the actual numbers from the county and the city, which the city graciously upped their allotment, and so did the county. So Adam and I, still the only two full-time or part-time employees, minus a research assistant that's very part-time. We're able to up our hours. We're still part-time, but we were able to, we decided it was important to, instead of give us those full-time hours, have some assistance. So we were able to allot 2 part-time positions. One of them is filled as an administrative assistant position, and another one will be for archives or collections care assistance. So still a long way to go.
that's great that our
But
community.
we are making lots of strides, and I hope everyone notices.
That is great. Our community can work together, and Best of luck with it.
Thank you.
It's called the Historic. Maybe we'll make history with this grant.
Yeah, I hope so.
Amanda, thank you, okay, for what you guys have done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need to make a motion to sign the present? Okay.
Okay, Emergency Management Performance Grant, Lyle?
Good morning, Commissioners. Lyle Pantel, Assistant Fire Chief, Ellis County Emergency Manager. Just came before you today to give you an update on some grant funding that's made available annually by the federal government through the state of Kansas. It's called the Emergency Management Preparedness Grant. I applied for fiscal year 2022 reimbursement, and we've been selected. And the way this grant works is the state has to apply for the funding through FEMA, and then if received, comes down to the individual counties that apply and meet the requirements through our Kansas Department of Emergency Management. And this year we'll be receiving $31,712. Now that's going to be a fluctuating amount annually based on what the federal government makes available to the states. So this year, I think it's playing out in our favor. Next year it could be a different story. It could play out in our favor again. It's hard to say. This money can be used for a number of things, one of which is the salary and benefits for dedicated EM personnel, which is going to be my suggestion that we reimburse the funds for, because it's an easy item to say that this is what we use the funds for as an eligible expense. We don't have to do any receipt tracking. We don't have to do any vetting against the allowable expenditures for what the money is available for. The qualifications that the county needs to meet, and then myself personally, are we have to have an annual integrated preparedness planning workshop. Workshop is one of the 7 types of exercises that are identified as through emergency management. We have to have a 3-year training and exercise calendar developed for our organization and all the organizations that take part in, say, our local emergency planning committee, to make sure that we're doing the necessary training and exercises for the emergency management cycle, so like prevention, planning, preparedness, mitigation, recovery, and response. We also have to have an additional 2 qualified annual training exercises. I have to maintain a certain level of training, and I have to do an annual statement of work, which is roughly a 6-page document showcasing the things that I've done throughout the year that meet what they deem acceptable for the emergency management process. This money will go back into the fiscal year 23 as a revenue, just because we can't reimburse for past fiscal years, but it is going to help offset the property tax needed to fund the emergency management department, which I would like to talk more about through our fiscal year 24 budget process. Do you have any questions?
I have none.
I have none. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, thanks, Lyle, for the update.
Just a quick, so this is an annual grant request.
Yes, sir.
Is it fairly, I guess, boilerplate where you just kind of fill in the same details each year, or how much effort do you have to put in, I guess, personally to kind of get through this grant? You said you had a 6-page document, some others, but.
Yep, there is some fluctuating information. I don't have to fill out the document completely, but I do need to highlight or showcase the things that they deem appropriate for the emergency management or the emergency manager for the county. And one of those could be like public education. Do I go out and try and educate the public on preparedness? So last week I spoke with some 4-H students, emerging leaders, I believe was the group, about wildland fire safety. So I could showcase that in there. And then there's also exercises, additional training, just some regular emergency manager work, such as, or like that.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, the 230th feedlot road rezoning resolution, Mr. Weigel and Mr. Dave.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning from Ellis Commissioners. David McDaniel, the Chairman of the Joint Planning and Zoning Group here. I'm here today to address the rezoning of 230th and Feedlot Road. This is the rezoning request number 2275. And the conditional use permit, which will depend if you go ahead with the rezoning, that is also number 2275. This is for Keith Worth doing business as KC Trucking. It's a rezoning for a distribution warehouse. It's to rezone to a flex district. The January 25th meeting of the committee was moved to approve the rezoning with the attached conditions. You have the findings of the facts in front of you with the 11 points, and you have all the paperwork in front of you, so I'm not going to really pound on that right now. Just to tell you that all fees were paid, notifications for the area parcels were made to the people, the sign was posted as required, and the public hearing was held. The protest period ended on this on February 8th. No protests came forward. The committee recommends approval. Now, there has been an amendment to this morning, and I asked Brady to address that.
Brady Weigel, Assistant Ellis County Planning and Zoning Director. The only thing that pretty much was revised was the resolution. The resolution that we passed on January 25th is different than the one that we have here with you guys today. It's just revised a little bit. It was added, just a little bit was added to the resolution. But other than that, everything else is pretty much right in front of you. So that's the only thing I wanted to kind of note, so.
Okay, are there any questions on this? I understand this motion has to be done first before we can prevent the conditional use permit.
Any questions?
I do not.
Michael?
No.
And I do not.
Okay. So is it 2304 or 05 that the resolution for? Okay. I move that we approve Resolution 2304 to rezone the specified property located on the southeast corner of 230th Avenue and Feedlot Road from residential to flex district in rural Ellis County.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Only thing I'd like to add is that how many employees? I think I had talked to Keith about that, and there's like 6 employees, so anything we can do to help our community out, I'm definitely going to support that.
In the next
Yeah,
month.
okay. I'm sorry. Yep.
So,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Okay, at this time then, I'd like to address the conditional use permit number 2275 regarding the same property that you just approached. Again, the committee recommends that the conditional use permit be approved as long as all the zoning regs and conditions as stated in that application are followed. Again, all the fees were paid, everything was done as required. The 11-point process that the committee goes through is in front of you, I believe. And the protest period again ended with no protests coming forward. And the committee recommends that this be approved also.
what were some of the special conditions that were approved by the zoning board?
I believe you have that in front of you. Let me see if I can see it also.
Or should we read those, just so they're on public record?
I can go through those for you if you want me to take the time to do that. I have the recommendation from the January 25th citing the 11 points.
If you could read the recommendation on those 11 points, that would be,
Okay. The approval of the conditional use would be consistent with the intended purpose of the Ellis County zoning regulations. There was no problem with that. The warehousing and storage facility is allowed in a flex district. The location of the proposed use is compatible with other land uses in the neighborhood. It is dependent on the rezoning, which you have just done, and again, in a flex district. The area is surrounded by flex zoning to the west, south, and agricultural zoning to the north and east. The proposed use places an undue burden on the existing transportation. There shouldn't be any on that, is what the findings were. The proposed use is made necessary or desirable because of a change or changing conditions in the area. It should not present a problem in that area. It's directly to the west is zone a flex district. Also, the length of time that the subject property has remained vacant or undeveloped, it's been vacant and used for agricultural purposes at this point. Whether the applicant's property is suitable for the proposed use, it is suitable for the warehousing and distribution operation as requested. The recommendation is of the permanent or professional staff. The zoning administrator has stated that all requirements for a conditional use have been met and recommends approval with the conditions stated in the rezoning app, as well as meeting all other zoning requirements. We're talking about setbacks, entrances, and nuisances. The proposed conditional use would be in conformance with and further enhance the implementation of the county's comprehensive plan. This tract of land is being dedicated to the application, should not conflict with the implementation of the county comprehensive plan. It is dependent on the approval of the rezoning, which you've done, and it's from residential to flex. Whether the relative gain to the public health, safety, and the benefits, the findings were that the benefits should outweigh the hardships. Whether the proposed conditional use, if it complies with the conditions upon which the approval is made, it will not affect the property in the area affected, and the findings were no adverse effects were anticipated. Finally, other relevant factors based on the facts presented in the application and the public hearing. Everything has been completed, and the public hearing was held, and the protest period was announced. Those are the 11 points.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
That takes care of it. I appreciate that.
Thank you to the Planning Commission, Zoning, the members Brett Schmidt, Keith Guston, Mark Brackney, Kevin Beaker, and Mason Reuter, and then David McDaniel, and then our staff, Environmental Services. I know this rezoning earlier in the year, the first commission meeting, members in that area that live there, the owner of this property had, their various input as far as what we would like to see, and it looks like it went back to the zoning committee. You're here presenting it to us. It looks like it's been resolved, and I think that's the best thing we can do when we serve the people in the community, is find the best resolution. So I think that the planning and the zoning committee certainly took all those requests in and built in this request so we could approve it. So thank you for your work.
Those issues were resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything?
I know, it just shows that how the system we have in place works, and going through the zoning board worked wonders, so I'm good with it.
Okay. Now I got ahead of myself. I would like to thank Keith for getting some employment and, another building, which is great for our community, so.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move that we approve Resolution 2305 for the conditional use permit to allow Keith Worth, doing business as KC Trucking, to construct and operate a warehouse distribution facility on a 7.6 acre parcel of land located on the southeast corner of 230th Avenue and Feedlot Road.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay, EMS.
Good morning, Danita Schrader, Ellis County EMS. My agenda item has changed a little bit. It's more of a informal. I have not gotten any numbers back for this, so just wanted to talk to you about it this morning. So last week, I was approached by our ARV, American Response Vehicle Representative, that we have purchased our last ambulance from, and he said that they have a 2022 Chevy chassis available and wanted to know if we would like to purchase it. He said the only difference in our order from our previous one is that it did have aluminum wheels, which was an upgrade from what we had on our order. I did tell him we were interested in it. I wanted to get some more numbers together, what it would cost. Currently, they are still working on it. His finance department has been out, so I apologize for that. I did question him, though, if we could still keep our other order in line. As you know, the chassis are very hard to get. So is what he stated they could do was to move just our order number ahead to this 2022 chassis, and then he would issue another number to our previous purchase. So what that does is keeps us in line. Well, this 2022 chassis will actually be built first, and then the other order will be built second. The original order that we had, the chassis is ordered, but they still don't have it in. And I think the original estimate was 500 and some to 720 days even to receive it. So this would fall in line. I am due for an ambulance replacement here for 2023 and 2024. And so I'm hoping that this 2022 chassis will be done first, and then the other will satisfy the next purchase that we need to make, and then we'll stay up with our replacement plan as far as that goes.
So we're slated to go ahead and move a new one into service in 2023. At the currently, we only have one order in place with ARB, is that correct?
Yes. We have
Okay.
one order in place. And like I said, he could not guarantee me when a chassis would come in for that original order. So it was guessed at the end of 2023 or even into 2024 that we would have that original order. So with this 2022 chassis, he's guaranteeing that we probably have it this year at least.
Okay. Is there anything specific or special about this, other than the aluminum wheels, about this service body that's going on? Any specialized characteristics to it?
No, it is the same style chassis that we ordered on the other one, other than the wheels. And then they'll put the box and everything on it, and it will be built to our specifications like our other order.
Okay.
He did state that he believes there may be a discount with that 2022 chassis. He is looking into it. The only thing I see that may cost us a little more is I do have them put in a striker, the power load system and the power cot, and it's just easier for them to put it in when they build that for us. And their striker prices have gone up about 6%. So I do see that maybe increasing a little bit in the cost of those. So hopefully that's it.
Do we have a number on the current request or order?
What kind of number are you on?
Well, did they give a current number for the price of the cost of the ordered ambulance?
Yeah, the previous one we ordered was $311,199.
That's the one that's on order.
That's the
current?
original one, on order, yes.
Okay.
And he said the new 22 will basically be the same price or a little less if he finds that discount.
Okay.
Michael, you have anything?
Yeah, no, tell them to find that discount.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
I think it's a good opportunity. We need numbers to look, but if we're gonna end up ordering one,
Right.
kind of regardless, if we have an opportunity to get one, maybe hopefully at a discount and get ahead of our schedule, then
Okay.
I think we seize that if we can get them to give us some numbers.
As he gets me the numbers and things become available, I'll get that all to you so you can see all that. I think that's all I have, if you don't have any other questions.
No?
Well, I would like to say that we would be interested, but we would need the numbers.
Right, correct. I understand that. I'd like the numbers too. So,
You'll get them to us when you get them.
I will.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sign truck. Brandon?
Morning, Commissioners. Brendan McKay, Ellis County Public Works Director. So before you this morning is a request to purchase a sign truck from Runyon Equipment. There's 4 options that we found out there for a new piece of machinery to replace our 2000 International State Surplus truck. The current truck, it works great for interstate where you can be right up on a sign. Our county roads are not built the way interstate's built. Our signs are on cross slopes and deep slopes that our current truck just can't get to with its reach. So the options that we've been pursuing with Enterprise is adding a 30-foot, 7,000-pound crane that have reach to do every sign and guardrail we have in this county, and also putting it on a slightly smaller platform so it takes up less space in the roadway for the safety of the traveling public and for our operators. The option we're recommending to go with is the 2023 F600 chassis and 12-foot flatbed with a 7,000-pound crane from Runyon Equipment. It has the controls either tethered or on a wireless remote. There's also a battery always charging in the truck. The manufacturer said they've never had anyone have to use the tether, but there's a 30-foot included tether. So the benefit of having the tether and the remote allows one person to do the work. Right now, when he's out there, you need 2 people to do it efficiently because the controls for his current truck are on the bed behind the crane. So you have to climb up the 52-inch bed, move the controls, hop back down, line it up, keep climbing up and down. So it takes 2 people to operate effectively. Being able to be remote controlled or 30-foot tethered off the driving lane is an improvement of safety for our operators in the county and for the traveling public because they won't have someone standing in the roadway. And there's 4 options there. One has a man basket. Our current truck has a catwalk. It's not utilized. We didn't see a benefit of going back with the catwalk or trying to transplant this body because we'd still have that crane that's too small for our operations to be used correctly. Any questions on that, or would you like further
Yeah.
information?
Brendan, a couple of points.
Yes, sir.
When you and I were talking, we were talking multiple options out there.
Yes, sir.
And one of them, you and I had talked, and you said, well, if we go with that option, the road and bridge may be utilizing that option when our sign guy needs to go out. But on here, you have included roadside guardrails and such. Is that what our sign tech currently does, or is that a road and bridge portion? I'm just trying to make
6
sure.
in one, half a dozen the other. So some of the guardrails on too steep a slope for the skid steer to be able to drive. So he does have an auger on his truck to auger out the posts. We're getting away from the wooden posts and starting to move to the steel driving ones. Wooden's the old standard. It's still applicable now, but there are new methods out there, and having the ability to reach out further than our current equipment allows would allow him to do that and assist there.
Well, and the only reason I'm asking is, okay, if we're going for our sign personnel to utilize it that way, and they're, they have enough work to keep them busy all year long, then how can we take the sign personnel's equipment and go move it on road and bridge and vice versa?
So he's the one out there doing it. So it's not like he's going back to the office. On cases when he is gone, we have sent other people out in there when he's been injured or off work for sick. We also build all of our own signs. We skin them, put all new lettering on them. So on days when it's just too muddy to be out there, all we'll do is tear up roads. He's in his office making signs. I mean,
I'm not concerned with our sign tech. I'm just worried, when you and I talked about a certain piece of equipment, it was, well, road and bridge may want to use that more often.
Correct.
Is road and bridge going to want to use the sign truck more often than not?
It's only been replacements for the fire damage or when a guardrail's been struck, which hopefully doesn't happen very often. We haven't had many guardrail we've had to replace. Mainly it's been repairs from the fire damage that we had, well, 2 Decembers ago now, in 21, where all those guardrails got burned out up on quite a few of the structures up in the northeast part of the county. We've had a few areas where we've had to replace it down by Shenshin. A lot of those are just the channel iron ones that were built when the bridges were built in the 30s. So sign truck's not used there. It's mainly the welder at that point in time.
Okay.
Michael, anything?
No.
I like the idea of it that one person, can run it. I've been around them for 30-plus years. Going up on the truck, that's a slip, trip, and fall. I'd rather have him come to work and leave all in the same as he came to work. And also with the remote, visiting with some of our guys, they like the remote because they can actually look at the flow of traffic and see if somebody's going to run into them, which is nice. But I do see that as a very important safety.
The remote also does have warning lights at the top. It starts at 60% of the maximum load because as you go further out with the crane, your lifting capacity is less just because of fulcrums and levers. So it's like 1,400 pounds at the full 33-foot extension, which is the 30 feet, 6 inches of reach, the maximum that has. And there's warning lights that start at 60%. Once you're at 60% of the load, a light will appear, and it'll go all the way up to 95%. And once you're at 95%, it'll stop you so you don't end up bending the crane or ripping one of the hydraulic cylinders, which your current crane doesn't have that capability for any of that.
What kind of miles are on this one that we have now, the existing one? Do you have any idea?
I honestly couldn't tell you because the odometer has stopped working.
Okay, this question will go towards Darren then on this. How will the enterprise fleet management and what is going to be, if we enter in our fleet management protocol, how will this be scheduled to be replaced? Will this be a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year type truck?
So the enterprise program, when we first entered into it several years ago, the executive team met and we made a decision for a recommendation to the commission. So whenever we purchase a vehicle, whether it be a fire, a command truck, an EMS vehicle, a deputy's vehicle, or the welder, the service truck, the sign truck, they would be split. We would only lease the vehicle itself through enterprise, and then all the upfitting costs, like for a sheriff's deputy, the putting the cage in, the gun racks and all that, that would be paid out of capital. That was the biggest significant reduction to Fund 16 of not having all of that extra needed capital requirement out of there. So for instance, this truck here, if the commission were to approve the recommendation of this 2023 model, the total is $147,203. The upfitting fee is that $81,268. So that was what the PO would, which if you approve today, that is the cost of the upfitting to Runyon. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
The difference is $65,935, and that's the governmental rate for the F600 chassis.
Mm-hmm.
It's the $65,935. However, since it's the government pricing, and we go through Sourcewell, there's a $60 Sourcewell fee. So the total price of the chassis is $65,995, and that's what will be leased through Enterprise. And then we have various different amounts of time that we lease different vehicles. All the staff vehicles, IT, appraiser, all the F-150s, the F-250s. Those are all on a 1-year recommended lease replacement. I say recommended because we can't order vehicles with today's market. We're ordering and they're canceling, and then we're reordering. The half-ton or 3/4 and 1-ton trucks have all actually, we've received them, but they're canceling all the half-ton trucks. This one here, like I say, EMS and fire and SO, I believe we're on a 5-year replacement. We would keep them. All of the half-ton and three-quarter trucks, they're on 1 year, basically because when you look at the return on your investment after you sell it, the best time to sell them is after 1 year, low mileage, no real maintenance needs to be done to them yet, so that's the highest value. So when we sell them, we get a majority of what we bought them for back. This truck here, I believe we kept them, I think they were all 5-year.
All these ones with larger upfitting on it was 5 years with the potential
service
just to
and
keep
welding.
ourselves after that 5-year point in time. These cranes, I mean, I've spoken with 3 different vendors. If we were to custom order a truck right now, just to get a crane allotted for it is a year out, let alone a build slot. I mean, Runyon Truck Equipment, they pump out this size crane truck 1 a week, and they build much larger trucks too. They've got 21 bays for production facility that are double stacked. He said they're booked out until, if we want a custom truck, he's booked out until summer of '24 at this point. I don't know if that yellow truck will make it, our current truck will make it till summer of '24. This one is estimated completed date is May of this year. Could be a month earlier. It's Q2, he said, but most likely in May. So could be April, it could be June, most likely in May, though, is when he hopes to have it out for us.
I'm not sure if I fully answer your question or if I
Well,
put too much information
I
out
mean,
there. But
no, I get that. So, and I mean, I understand that portion. So is it just our other vehicles that are going through this with, say, this truck, or do the dump trucks go through it?
they,
So
the
where
largest
do
truck
we
that-
draw the line on it, I guess?
The largest truck that Enterprise can purchase fleet-wise and sell to us was the F-550, or
This size, anything under 26,000 gross vehicle weight rating, nothing that
550s
requires a
to
CDL.
20,000, I believe.
Yeah.
Or 19.8 or something. I get that type of truck guy to know those GVWs, but this is the largest size of truck that they can lease. Anything over, like moving to the next size class chassis, they can't.
Okay.
They may be able to locate them for us, and say this one's available, but if they're nice enough to do that for free, because we would basically then have to purchase that with permission from the commission through that vendor or dealership who has them on site.
Okay. Would this apply to our ambulance scenario, or is that completely separate?
The ambulance was completely separate. We didn't go through Sourcewell on that. Danita, since this is a government, so the government pricing, basically all your specifications are predetermined that has to go through the Code of Federal Regulations to meet certain requirements, that the bidding is done correctly through proper procedures to get certain rates from this style of headlights to the next. When Danita went through her ambulance, it's a custom build, and we actually looked through, NJPA, Sourcewell. We looked through several of them to find any ambulance manufacturers that were part of a governmental purchasing, and we couldn't find any, surprisingly. So she actually built specifications that were probably 100 pages long, that she sent out to vendors, and then they would
Bid accordingly?
bid accordingly, yes.
Okay.
But if we were to find a Sourcewell, like so staying outside of Enterprise, the Engine 50, which is the new fire truck at Company 5 here in Hayes, Rosenbauer is actually part of Sourcewell. So that truck and all of every option that we have on it, they have government pricing. So like the aluminum wheels upgrades for that ambulance, we had that same type of option. We didn't choose that upgraded option, but if you did, those are all government set prices. And that truck went through Sourcewell, and because all that process of bidding, specifying what you want, determining what prices, how they're all going to fit, it's all pre-categorized and approved through that process, which saves a tremendous amount of time for staff on building those specs, getting the prices out, and then determining, because when you build certain apparatus, ambulances, fire trucks, probably even a sign truck, not every manufacturer is going to be able to meet your specifications at 100%, unless you basically say, I want that truck, and then give me all your specifications, and you copy and paste it. So it's a long process, and I worked with Danita, and she worked with staff. I don't know how many hours she spent on it, but it was quite a bit more time that she spent on the ambulance than I spent on the fire truck.
Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't know where we started and stopped with the enterprise system.
Yeah, it's not our choice, that's their choice. I believe, because we bought a F-550 for the service, no, that was a Ram 5500.
4,500?
4500. We started getting to those, and that was some of the first ones that we had, that they were even selling to customers in Kansas. And Bill Jeter worked with myself and David Luke from our K-Camp. We had to go through the amendments, the master agreement with Enterprise, and we basically had to negotiate to make sure that we met some things with the tort claims, the act, and some different things for liability limits, and what K-Camp could actually insure as part of what we leased from Enterprise. So I don't think Enterprise even has interest to go anything bigger than that.
Okay.
It was 26,000 pounds is our limit now for any,
26.
no vehicle, Enterprise will not lease a vehicle with a gross vehicle weight rating of over 26,000 pounds.
Because of CDL.
Just for their own insurance portion of it.
Got it.
Four-wheel drive, correct?
Yes, sir, that one is. So if he needs four-wheel drive, we probably shouldn't have been out on the roadway because we'll have just torn it up.
Not on an F-600.
And the intent would be, we'd look at resale pricing with it, working with Enterprise in 5 years, whether it would be more savings to the county to take the crane and the bed off and put it on a new chassis in 5 years, or to sell that as a complete unit and repurchase a new one. So here in 3 years, we'll be in touch with them, because with these specs being, and builders being booked out for a year and a half, be about time to get it set up. Or we would just keep the truck for 20 years. It's up to the three that are sitting up there at that point in time.
Darren, what would our enterprise cost on this be, a yearly payment? So 61,000 over 5 years, or 60, whatever?
I would have to look at the Enterprise. I couldn't tell you an exact amount. I could forward you the final document when we get it from Enterprise. We did some work when Brendan was on vacation over the work with Enterprise. Actually, commend Brendan. He is saving the county the delivery fee due to the location of where this is at in Illinois. He's going to make a family trip up there and bring it back to save the county $1,000 to $2,000 in delivery fees. But yeah, it's basically what you would expect, a $66,000 chassis spread out over a 5-year lease with your your registration fees and all that, and license fees split over those 5 years.
Now, the facility it's being built at is 30 miles away from where I grew up. So with its timing being done, school may be out, I'd bring my family up with me, and they'd stay at my folks' place, and I'd run back with the truck, and my wife would make the 12-and-a-half-hour drive back here a week later in our personal vehicle.
Anything else?
I think it's over.
Nate?
I'll make a motion to move to approve purchase order 7713 in the amount of $81,268 for the uplifting costs in the 2023 F-600 signed truck through Runyon Equipment.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Thanks,
you very
Brandon,
much.
and thank you for your trip up there.
Oh, my folks will be
Helps
happy.
everything.
They get to see their grandkids more.
That's right.
Their daughter-in-law. Whether they see me or not, I don't know. Thank you.
Okay, County Administrator report. Darren?
The only thing I'd like to share is that I appreciate the commissioners' attendance and input and their level of discussion that we had last week at the commissioners' retreat that we had in Salina. I've heard good things from staff saying that they enjoyed the discussion. Didn't know where it was going off when we first started, but as everybody felt more comfortable, there's some good discussions had, and that they would like to see us do that again in the future. So I believe I've heard from each of the commissioners that you also enjoyed your time. So hopefully we can continue to do that each year and build on what we had started last week into next year, and stay tuned, I guess. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. County Commission report?
I have no report other than I enjoyed the time at the retreat with all the departments. It was very educational, so I look forward to working with everybody.
Mr. Michael?
Yes, my public comments. A few weeks ago, we had Northwest Kansas Planning and Development here, commission here with Randall Robbie, and I've made a comment to Darren a couple times now that at least I want to consider exploring that in the amount of 40 or 50,000 or however, and see what that benefits our county. Coming out of our retreat, one of the options I'd like Darren to explore along with that is we've talked about potentially just getting a grant writer specifically for Ellis County. So as you explore where we get the money in the budget for potentially this rejoining this group, or if the option of maybe a grant writer or what our options are. So just expand your horizon a little bit as far as where we spend 40 or 50,000 if we're trying to find some economic development and grants for our county. So that's just my comments. Thank you.
Just to follow up on that for clarification, when we start looking at maybe some similar type positions that are out there at other counties or cities throughout Kansas, the intent would be not necessarily a grant writer just for Ellis County, just like our public works, but it would be to host a grant writer position that the city of Ellis, Victoria, Shenshen, Hayes, that we could all work together on, that we could share, or they could help out the city of Ellis on CDBG grants or some of the loans that they have available to them.
I think that would be ideal. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not sure, like that, when I visited with you about it yesterday, I don't have any counties off the top of my head that I know have that, but I'm sure they're out there, and I'll reach out to the administrators across the state and see what type of information I can get, and with the help of our HR department, I'm sure we can come back with some options for you.
Thank you.
And with that, if you would look to see where it would fit, position-wise under, does it need to go under a department or does it need to go completely individual?
Okay, and all I have is, like I say, we got to visit with a lot of the employees at the retreat. I enjoyed it also, and look forward to having another one. And maybe in the future we can get the city and the county together and maybe do something like that. So that's all I have. And we do have one executive session, so. Okay, the motion for the executive session for 15 minutes, attorney-client privilege exception, potential litigation. Those in attendance, Mr. Bill Jeter, Brendan, and Darren Myers, and the commissioners.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. took it, but that's all right. I'll just ask for, no, nothing was resolved, so we're asking for another additional 10 minutes, so.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We're going in.
All in favor? Aye. I evidently tore a muscle in my calf.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned at 10 o'clock.